Today, we are cracking open a really fascinating cold case from television history. We're going to look at a show that had, all the ingredients for a mega hit. A huge budget, a killer premise, and a cast just packed with future superstars. And yet, it just vanished from the airwaves almost as fast as it appeared.
So, let me just ask you this. What show could possibly bring together a Hollywood legend, the man who would later become the infamous Mr. Blonde, and one of the most iconic Goodfellas, all in the same place? Well, the answer is a mostly forgotten drama called Our Family Honor.
All right, so the show aired on ABC way back in 1985, and its whole concept was just pure primetime gold. It was built on this epic clash between two super powerful New York City families who were, deeply connected by their pasts, but just violently divided by their presents.
Okay, so on one side, you have the McKays. Think of them as this dynasty of law enforcement, all headed up by Police Commissioner Patrick McKay. And on the other side, the Danzigs, a powerful crime syndicate led by their patriarch, Vincent Danzig. And here's the twist. These two guys were childhood friends, but now they're on completely opposite sides of the law, locked in this huge battle for the soul of the city.
Now, the network didn't just, quietly release this show. No, they gave it a massive launch with a 2-hour television movie. This was meant to be a huge event, a sprawling saga that was supposed to have viewers totally hooked for years to come. Even though its run was incredibly short, it was absolutely designed for greatness.
And ABC had every single reason to believe this was going to be a smash hit. They weren't just betting on the concept. They stacked the deck with an incredible lineup of talent. This was a prestige production through and through.
Right at the top of a bill was the legendary Eli Wallach playing the godfather, Vincent Danzig. Just having an actor of his stature lent immediate credibility and, a real weight to the series. He was a true Hollywood giant, and his presence basically signaled that this was a serious must-see drama.
But looking at this cast now with the benefit of hindsight, this is where the show's hidden legacy really pops. You have Michael Madsen, years before Reservoir Dogs, playing this violent and unpredictable son, Augie, and then in a recurring role as a police officer, a young Ray Liotta, just a few years before he'd become an absolute icon in Goodfellas. It's so fascinating to see these future crime movie legends on opposite sides of the law right here. So clearly, the network put its full weight behind Our Family Honor. They poured a ton of money into it, they hired A-list talent, and they totally positioned it as the next great American television drama. Everything was in place for a long, successful run.
But a war between two families isn't just about crime and justice, right? It's also about the people caught in the middle. The showrunners knew they needed an emotional core, a story that would make the stakes really personal for the audience.
And that story centered on Liz McKay, a rookie cop and the commissioner's own niece. Her path crosses with Jerry Danzig, who happens to be the mob boss's son, but he desperately wants a different life. So to escape his family's shadow, he goes by the name Jerry Cole. And of course, Liz starts dating this charming guy with absolutely no idea she's falling for the son of her family's greatest enemy. It's this serialized will they, won't they romance that feels very modern, actually.
You gotta love this. One critic just perfectly captured the show's intricate plotting with this amazing description. This was not a simple cops and robbers story. It was this complex web of loyalty, betrayal, and forbidden love. It was designed to be a juicy, can't-miss primetime soap.
So with a great premise, a stellar cast, and this dramatic love story, what could possibly go wrong? Well, as it turns out, almost everything. The promise of a hit very quickly collided with the brutal reality of television ratings.
Okay, just look at this. The pilot premiered to a pretty respectable 13.2 million viewers, ranking 23rd for the week, a totally solid start. But then, the free fall began. Within just a few weeks, it hit rock bottom, 68th place out of 68 shows on the air that week. The audience was just hemorrhaging.
The show went from a respectable 13.2 million viewers to just 4.1 million. In the world of 1980s network television, numbers like that were an absolute death sentence. So the show premiered in September on a really competitive Tuesday night. By November, the network panicked and moved it to the notorious Friday night death slot, which is basically where shows often went to die. The ratings, which were already weak, just completely cratered. Less than 4 months after its grand premiere, it was all over.
So despite all the money, all the talent, and all the ambition, Our Family Honor just became another casualty in the brutal primetime wars of the 1980s. The final verdict from the network? It was swift and totally unforgiving. 13. That's it. After that massive 2-hour movie premiere, only 13 hour-long episodes were ever produced and aired before ABC just pulled the plug. All those intricate storylines were just left hanging.
And the show didn't even get a proper finale. It just stopped. The very last episode to air ended with a huge event. Michael Madsen's character, Augie, gets killed in a shootout. But the central romance, the war between the families, the fate of everyone else, it was all left totally unresolved. A really frustrating end for the few million viewers who actually stuck with it. So that leaves us with the big question, right? With its serialized story, its morally complex characters, and that kind of cinematic feel, was this a show that might have thrived in today's era of streaming and prestige TV? Was Our Family Honor not a bad show, but simply the right show at the wrong time? What do you think? Was this a show that was just way ahead of its time? I'd love to know your thoughts, so let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this little deep dive into forgotten television, please make sure to like and subscribe for more. We'll see you next time.